Sunday, because it's
Yeah.
going to be kind of circus-like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, it's just, this whole year has been unique, right? Because there's just been, just the loss of Caitlin, obviously, and Kate and Gabby and Sharon and Molly and Lisa and Jenny, right? So there's always been a lot of firsts, a lot of different types of situations, right, that we're navigating. So this is one of them, but I think embracing it. I feel like what I've shared with the team is, the game is the game, right? And that's what we just have to really enjoy the opportunity of the game, regardless of getting to celebrate Caitlin. When that would occur, we were going to play this game. So I think I'm just trying to keep them focused on the opportunity we have with that. And then when that's done, right, then we can celebrate, Caitlin. Easier said than done, but I think we visited about it, and just kind of kept it more matter of fact. Mostly is just getting to the actual day and seeing if, everybody can keep staying in their lane.
USC is, I mean, obviously ranked fourth in the country. You look through a lot of the stats, and I'm sure a lot of the teams that you play, there's a stat or two that you can play on and say, oh, this team's not real good at that. There's not many of those for USC. How do you go about, game planning for a team when there's not a certain stat or two that really stands out that you can kind of focus on?
Yeah, it's they're just, they're really good. This whole, conference, has a lot of great teams in it, top to bottom. But UCLA and USC, what they, brought in to it this year is a whole lot of terrific stats, right, and terrific players, and not just one player, right? You think of Lauren Betts, but on UCLA, you think of Kiki on their team, you think of, JuJu, right? But they have their Kiki, right? They have their Kennedy Smith. They have, Rhea Marshall. I mean, they have, Olhoffen, was tremendous at Oregon State, but she hasn't hit all the threes that she used to hit there, but she does so much for them. So you just kind of have to focus on what I want to continue improving on with us, because we got to keep progressing in the areas that I've seen growth in, or things that aren't quite as up to par. So we have our game plan that we're going to try to slow, but I think a lot of it just needs to be like, okay, they're really doing a great job defensively. What are some of the areas we've come up short? What do I have to make sure we look a little better in when we're facing them? So I try not to look so much at all of their, glorious and shiny statistics, is I know, their defense. I mean, wow, look at that. 30% holding people to 2 field goals. I think 25% on 3-point shooting in the league. I mean, that's crazy good, right? So very aware of all of that, but trying to focus on, the things that we have to improve, but I also think the things that we've been doing well. So we got kind of our game plan going, with how we're going to try to counter what they can do athletically, offensively, and then offensively what I think we're going to need to do to try to make scoring, more effective for us.
Jen, I want to be careful how I phrase this. I know that, obviously you knew Caitlin was special when she
Yeah.
was here, and then the
Yeah.
good old days are the good old days.
Right.
But a year later, being a head coach, is there any different layer of perspective to how great that era of
Yeah.
this team was?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is Caitlin's career as a whole, but then the 2 runs, to the Dallas Final Four and then to the Cleveland Final Four. Even after the Dallas Final Four, you get back and it was really, such a blessing. And, I always talk to Gino or see him at clinics, how tired that they are, because, you get to play till the very last day, right? So then you go recruiting pretty quickly. So you don't really have a whole lot of time to unpack it, because now you're trying to capitalize on it and how can we, keep the standard. Well, then we go into the next year and there's crazy run with all the excitement and the question, is she coming back? Is she going pro? And the scoring title, and then it just grew and grew. And so I kind of have a sense of all of that and the management. But then, we got blessed and got to another Final Four. And then, Lisa really to my knowledge, and she's my best friend, she really didn't have an end date of retirement. But then she decided a bit later. So then when she made that decision, I actually did not unpack at all that last Cleveland run. Then it became all about, boy, look at what's ahead of us, and look at, all the new things that I now need to do, get to do, and so forth. So long-winded, I really haven't sat down and gone really reflective. And I think Lisa will tell you that's what she's enjoyed most about retirement. She's probably actually looked at those photo books that they made. I think our Daily Iowan made a really cool photo book. Des Moines Register made photos of Caitlin. I have them on my desk. I have not one time opened it. Not because I don't want to, but it's just like, boy, I'm going to do that later, hopefully 5-10 years down the road. There's just so much in the now. But collectively, yeah, what a ride. And I look at this with our team as like how, these kids who didn't get to play with her, they still get to be part of all that. That's what it felt like at the end, right? For Hannah and Sid, it was just kind of like the crowds and the attention. So really using it positively for them and just getting to be part of another moment. So I'm just forever blessed that I got to be part of her ride, and she'll always be part of us. Just like I've said before, Michael Jordan will forever be Carolina Blue. Caitlin will forever be Hawkeye Black and Gold.
Caitlin's always obviously been self-aware at what people are talking about and what storylines that develop. Knowing that her presence was probably going to hang over this season to a certain degree, either informally or formally, what was her kind of message to particularly the players who were coming back this year? To kind of say, hey, this is a chance to write your own story.
Yeah, I think she just, whenever she's been back for the ring ceremony or when she's, pops in, it's just like, she's always just like, just be you. You don't have to be us, right? And she was saying that when she was a player, like each year, right? When we would, after the freshman year, the sophomore year, after the Final Four year, I think she'll tell you she was unsure we could do that again and graduating Monica and McKenna, right? So that's just been her matter of fact message, Hawkeye pride, and really she tries to get him to, really kick butt and you're not measuring up to what that was. You're just trying to be, what your version of the team could be, which certainly matches my message. So she's, Caitlin, Kate, they check in with me often, all the time, and so they're definitely with us, and I think the team senses that.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Do you hear from her a lot?
Yeah, the relationship of player coaches, when they go, they evolve into the friendship, right? That particular group, you just went through so much together. So yeah, like Caitlin will call me out of the blue, Kate, and just like any friends, when the chips are down, they're there. When everybody else, they're always there for the big ones too, but I think everybody knows, it's the people you hear from when it's raining sideways. So they'll forever be there on the court, off the court stuff. So they've been consistent with that, even I'll get little messages even in the summer. Yo, coach, how's it going? All the things. So yeah, they've been great. Sharon Goodman comes back, all of them. So we're pretty fortunate with that. But Caitlin's been, she's definitely been consistent. She's, running the world, right? A-lister, all that. But she's, still Caitlin, confident, yes, but always consistent and Hawkeye through and through, and really, really fun.
When you see some of those things, like she's with Taylor Swift and doing this, what do you think when you say? Do you get a good laugh out of it?
Yeah, I just think what I think is when I think of that is just the trajectory of the great ones, right? She's just a great one. Jordan, Kobe, the Tyrazis, right, or whatever, Serena Williams. These treks of the greatest ever that will forever be known, and she's just been one of us, right? So I just think of the coolness of how everything coincides. Like she has been wearing a little Kansas City Chiefs jersey since she was, 5, right? So that whole love, right? of her sports and competing, being who she was when she was 5 and feisty and fiery, as she's now evolved, right, into who she always was, right? You guys covered her so closely. She could, when she started getting interviewed by the national media, she could talk about Kelsey, she could talk about Mahomes, she could talk about tennis, she could talk about pro golf, right? And very, very, intelligently. But the fact that she loved the Chiefs, which kind of started that, and then Travis happens to date Taylor Swift, who happens, so that's a genuine connection to the Chiefs, right? Which makes that probably introductory, meeting even, cool, even when she's beginning to be the A-lister. And then just the fact that he happens to date Taylor and then she ends up in that. I mean, it's part of that story how for Caitlyn, she's just always operated in a different realm. And it just keeps going. So I think it's her normal. It always has been. I mean, you watched her play and can ask anybody who recruited her. That one's got something. But no, would anybody have said she's going to change the needle? You couldn't do that, but we all knew she was going to be an All-American. But I think that's the thing about the people gossipy parts of this whole ride for her. She just has always been in a different realm. So I think that's the serendipitous part of it. To me, I love the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are involved, just with all the hoopla, because she just stays grounded. If she's the same. She is the same. I tell that to people, with all the things that have happened, she is that same confident personality that came in. Is the same. She'll wanna win a championship for the Fever, and she'll say it in the opening press conference, and she's gonna work like crazy, and she's gonna have a lot of fun along the way.
He did an interview this offseason, and she was talking about Caitlyn was talking to her about the first time she's gonna come back, and that she may try to sit on the bench.
Oh, Caitlyn, or yeah.
If we know anything about Caitlyn, she's definitely gonna be calm and normal and not draw a scene to her during the game. Just how much do you feel like that can kind of be another kind of energy in the building, just having her here and having her be herself?
Yeah, I think it'll be, great energy. That's why everybody is in a frenzy, right, to come. But I also think that what's cool is our fan base, they didn't know really at the very beginning when these season tickets when they went on sale and they sold out, if it was going to be this year or when, right? That they continue to want us to succeed with us, the core, through the disappointments, the what ifs, know it's going to be a little bit of a ride. But then when they get to have arguably one of the greatest ever to get to be part of that, I think that's what's really going to be fun, is because they get that moment again with her in just a different way. So I think the energy will be really, really great, and it's deservedly so. I'm so excited to celebrate her because, she's just like every kid that dreams that's good. When they look up and she would see Megan's jersey, that's what everybody wants to shoot for when you get to a certain, echelon, which certainly she got to in that freshman year. And then it's not what she played for, but when you get your jersey retired at any level, it's the ultimate. And so I'm just so happy that I was part of it then, and I get to be part of it now.
You've seen this building at its most frenzy for Caitlyn, especially these last couple of years. What do you think it's going to be like in May when you have a WNBA team?
Yeah, I think that'll be really, really fun. That concept was talked about, after last season when we saw South Carolina. They went back to play Puerto Rico, I think, and so we thought, this would be pretty good, or all the minds that be, right? I think it's going to be great. I think what a great concept to bring a pro team, to, their home base. So that'll be really fun for our fans. But I think it'll be a blast. I think, I think it will be a pretty fun, another frenzied level. It'll be early, right? It's a preseason game, so it'll be a little bit more, relaxed in the sense of what we felt when she's hitting the shot against Indiana. But I just think it'll be a pretty awesome opportunity for fans to get her, see her again in Carver, which, nobody thought we would ever get to see that again, right? So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm appreciative to our administration and all the folks that worked on that, because that's a really neat thing for our program.
Maybe this is a dumb question. I'm curious to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts on this. Going up against JuJu, I mean, you had Caitlin for 4 years, obviously a prolific scorer, the most prolific scorer. You got to see how defenses tried to play her in practice. You got to try to maybe mess with her and see if you can get her off balance. Is there anything that you learned, what defenses did or what you tried to do in practice, that maybe translates over to a prolific scorer like JuJu?
Yeah, I mean, you have your different schemes that you can try, but you have to remember that even on their off nights, they impact the game so greatly. I mean, when Caitlin would not have a great shooting night, what was it? Usually 23 and 8 rebounds and maybe 5 or 6 and, okay, we'll say 7 turnovers. But I mean, that's still impacting the game, right? So usually it works for a while, right? And then if it works for the whole game, in my humble opinion, they got into their head, or Caitlin got into their heads a little bit, and then you start trying to force it and you want to get it, right? And not necessarily for her own gain, but it's like that, it's not working. And I think any great scorer would tell you that, is the scheme definitely starts out, and then if you just stay a little cold, then all of a sudden you almost forget that they're trying to double, or the help's coming from the weak side and not the strong side or whatever. So I think when they really get thwarted, it's kind of has to be a little bit of a perfect storm if they're really not the impactful part of the game, because they're just so good. I mean, I've watched a ton on JuJu, and she can be off a little bit and think, oh, then you look at the box score and you're like, oh, reminds me of Caitlin sometimes, and she still has a lot. So we have the things we're going to try to do, borrowed from some others, look back on what slowed Caitlin, but they also have, Kiki, man, they have Kennedy Smith. I mean, for a freshman, man, she's such great size and can hit it. The bigs, the Howell that comes off the bench, she's from the Idaho. I remember watching her. So they got a lot of weapons. So you have to be careful. You got to kind of pick your poison.
They've got a lot of size with Ray Marshall and Kiki. Do you anticipate staying with the lineup with Hannah and Sid, or are you going to try to match them?
Yeah, well, I think we have to see how it flows, like sometimes you can be undersized and it's just fine. The boards, you kind of maybe get a call when you need it over the back. They're not quite as aggressive, or sometimes it's like, holy buckets, get everybody over 6 foot in, and so I think I just got to kind of see how it rolls. But yeah, I think you'll see, different lineups, combinations, to kind of keep them off, because we do have size with Addie, and you can go a little, Addie and Hannah go a little bit bigger again, but even Hannah's still not, they're coming at you 6'4", 6'3". We don't quite, always have that ability to match up perfectly, but you can get close. So I'll see how it flows as we go, but I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen.
The plan is to start with the same lineup, though?
That's as we go now, but I still got 2 days left.
What was the motivation to bring Randy Henderson onto your coaching staff, and what has she done to impact the coaching staff as a former head coach?
Well, I mean, I always, I was a longtime assistant at my alma mater and a longtime assistant with the leader I believed in. And so I really like that. I like that we have Abby Stamp on staff. She played here. It's a testament to how much she loved it here. Catherine Reynolds used to be our DOBO until she went to become the commissioner of the Women's Professional Softball League. But there's just, without saying anything, when you have 2 products that stay on your staff. And so Randy, was, had a lot of success at the smaller levels. But when you coach and formulate teams, and the culture piece that I think that, we were a part of when she was a player. So it was a really natural fit for me, because it's nice to know people that you hire. It doesn't have to be, certainly it can't always be the case, but she just is so quality in all regards. And then obviously she was our first all Big Ten post player. And so I was the post coach, so sliding in a post player who knows the position so well, it was a really easy hire for me. And, I loved her when I coached her, and love her. Duez, he's a Hawk too, her husband. So that was a really a great blessing for us.